Okay, so now we will discuss a new topic, which is uh, structure. In object-oriented programming and in C++, structure and class are two entities which are very much similar, and both are used to declare a group of variables and functions and represent object. The main difference between a structure and a class is that the members of a class by default are private. The members of a structure by default are public. So when we declare variables in class, it is private by default. When we create functions, we have to mention public before the function so that it can be accessed from outside the class. But when we declare a structure, the variables, we have to declare it as private, otherwise it will also become a public member like functions, because the default members are public in case of a structure. So we'll write a program and then we'll see how they differ, the structure and the class. Let us create a very simple class C1, and it will have one variable and one function. So let us create a private variable integer n, and let us create a public function n1, void show cout n1 equals to 5. Now this is a class. This has one private variable and one public function. We create one object of this class and let us call obj.show. Let us save this. Let us compile this. And now we run this program. So this program will print n is equals to 5. This is very simple program of class, the very basic program of class. Here we only declare a variable and a function, and then we create the object of the class, and then we call the function. Now suppose we don't use these specifiers. Here we don't use these specifiers. So what will happen? Both the variable and the function of this class will become private member of the class, which will not allow the main function to access the show function at line number 19. I save this program. Now I compile. So here it is giving errors. The show function is private. You can see here it is writing in the error message that show function of class C1 is private. It cannot be accessed from outside the class. So what we have to do, we have to make it public. So by default, if we don't make the variable private, it is automatically private. But since we have to access this function from outside the class, this function must be declared as public. So now I made it public let us compile this. It is executing. Let us run this program. This is perfect. So in a class, when we create variables and functions, all members are by default private. Whatever members are required to be accessed from outside the class in the main function, you have to make it exclusively public, otherwise it will not be able to access. Now let us see how the structure is used. So I'll save as the same program. And here we make this struct. First, I'll write the program this way. We have a variable and a function. The variable is private, the function is public. We create the object and then we call the function. This is saved. Let me compile this program. It is perfect. And let us execute. It is giving the same output as that of a class. So in this particular case, what we have on the screen, if we change the word struct to class, there will be no difference because we have exclusively mentioned the variables as private and public of the class. Now, if we remove these access specifiers, what will happen? In case of class, it was not executing because all members were treated as private and private members cannot be accessed outside the class. But in case of a structure, all members are by default public. So there won't be any issue here. And if we save this program and compile it, it will compile it properly because in this case, there is no issue and it will run also. So there is only one difference between a structure and class. What is the difference? The default members in a structure are public. The default members, by default members of class are private. If we are mentioning it exclusively private and public, then there is no difference at all. So in this case, since we are mentioning the variable as private and the function as public, there will be no difference. Either we use a structure or we use a class. So let us note down the point here. In C++, there is no difference between a class and the structure. Except, still there are differences, so I'll mention except. Point number one, class is declared by word class and the structure is declared by the keyword struct. This is the difference number one. Difference number two, members of class are by default private, whereas members of the structure are by default public. So these are basic difference between a structure and class. There is one more difference which is usually on the programmers end. Programmers usually use the structure to group variables and store the records, whereas classes are used to present objects. So this is how we can compare a class and a structure in C++. These are the two programs that we have declared. You can see in class and in structure there are no much difference. This is the basic difference. The structure starts with the keyword struct, class starts with the keyword class. Members of class are by default private, members of structure are by default public. So let us stop here.